Answer session with the pattern trader. My name is Mark Shawzin, the pattern trader. One of the questions I got from one of our elite members, the elite program is our daily email program. They said, how do you find or troll through charts to find charts like Zoom, ZM, Beyond Meat, ARC, etc., for example? How did you find them? What was your first attraction, a deep digger into the stock? Example, you wouldn't spend 10 minutes on every chart in the market to use robots or something to find patterns. So, that's a really good question. For many years, I've been kind of content to trade the FX market. And the great thing about the FX market was there was just about 20 charts that I could go through in literally 10, 15 minutes of the day. And, since last year, I became much more actively engaged in trading the stock market. There's a lot more setups. There's a lot more choices. I do options. So, it turns into a much bigger job because there's a universe of 20,000 stocks out there. And obviously you can't trade everything. So, I basically put together charts based on sectors, like software or by industry, real estate, and then put like 3, 4, 5 stocks in each thing. And then I become familiar with just a dozen or half a dozen, but I'm always looking for new ideas. To me, it's always about the setup, and I'm always trying to find a setup where the market is just forming a pattern, a double top, a double bottom, where I can get something right as it's coming out of the chute. And so, I'm constantly shooting for or searching for these opportunities. And so I look everywhere. I follow the crawl on the financial channel. I see the popular stocks that are coming through. I just throw them up, check them out, and see if there's a chart pattern that intrigues me. But it all comes down to price and pattern. Are you guys able to hear me? Don't see anybody checked in yet. So another question was, how do you manage trades when you say set and forget? Well, it's pretty easy. I shouldn't say it's easy, but it's very doable. Hey, we've got Vivian, we've got Nathan. How you guys doing? Let me know what you guys are trading, what you're interested in. Hey, Zulukvar, how are you? Ali, nice to see you guys. Hey, Raitzy. So let me know what you guys are doing. Let me know what you guys are trading these days. Nathan says, has gold double bottomed? So on Friday, I sent out an email to our members to sell gold. And this goes to another question that was just asked about a set and forget trade, where on the weekly chart last week, gold had a weekly range from about 1720 to like 1740. It was a pretty narrow range bar. It was starting to be bunched up. I surmised the next move was lower. So all I did was I suggested to our members is to put a sell stop under the weekly low, under 1720. So put your sell stop at 1719 with a buy stop around 1677 or so. And 2 days later, it just crashed out of that 1719. Gold went to 1685. And yeah, I did see that daily bottom, a couple of days ago. And I said to our investors, look, I think it's still going to go lower, but let's just get out right here. I've got a massive 340 pip profit in 2 days. Let's just clean it off. I think there is some support here. And, it was a good thing because there was, some support. As to whether that's going to represent a double bottom, I'm open to the possibility. I'm certainly open to the possibility. We got pretty close to my objective of 1650 on that ascending broadening price pattern. We got to 1677 at one point. And so we've become pretty close. And I said right around this area is where you're going to see, a lot of interest, a lot of volatility. Sorry, I don't know why my charts are taking so long to load today, but they are. And so, yeah, I would, I just put out an email 2 nights ago. I said, we've been in this trade a day and a half. We've made 340 pips. let's just dance out of this thing and take a relook at it, because this is a meaningful area of support. Whenever a market drops like it did previously to 1685 or 1677, and then it went to 1750, when it circles back and hits that support area, then there's usually a lot of support there. So I said, just let's clean it out. I didn't know how much we would bounce from there, but we had obviously a very swift bounce yesterday. And for some reason, this chart is not loading. Let me just reload it again. Yeah, so gold is something that I've been watching, and I said that when we came down to this part of the ascending, broadening price pattern, gold was either going to, this was going to be a major support level. So, okay, I just got it back up. But I don't know. There's still so much. Wow, this is going to be interesting to see how we close. So this is Thursday. So I look at the weekly bars and I look at how things close relative to the high and low. The close is very important to me. I don't care if I'm looking at the daily chart, the monthly chart, whatever time frame you are. So obviously, if you're looking on the weekly chart, the close will be at the end of Friday. So we are closing right at the high end of the bar. This is what I call a key reversal. And the thing is, we're trading right at huge double bottom where you had a weekly reversal 4 weeks ago. So this certainly put a stake in the ground right where it kind of had to. So it was trading within this ascending, broadening price pattern. And I surmised that it was going to come to the lower end. Even from when it was 2,100, I said that it had to go all the way back down to under 1,700. I put a price projection on gold when it was trading in the 1900s at 1,700. Obviously, we got lower. We went to about 1677 or whatever it was. And so now we're right at the lower end. And so now we're either going to hold and it's going to put a huge move higher, or we were going to go a lot lower. So this is a very interesting price action that we're seeing here and could form the basis. But when I look at silver, I can't see how silver is going to go higher here. So I don't know. Tomorrow's close on the weekly in gold going to be very important. So, that's what I do. I look at the weekly. Gamal says, what do you think about the SPY? The S&P made a new all-time high today. So the SPUIs are, just making all-time highs. They had a key reversal last week. They had a key reversal the week, 2 weeks before. So it's all been pointing higher. We've been trading at this ascending, broadening price pattern, and we could still go higher. What the market that I'm looking at right now is the Dow. Dow Jones Industrials is putting a very narrow range bar right at the top here, and I've learned these narrow range bars, they can be signals for continuations or reversals. So whenever the trends start or the ranges become more compressed, they build energy and then they uncork one way or another. And so on the weekly, you've got a narrow range bar, and on the daily, you've got these three inside day bars, a little flag. And so, it's either going to be a continuation to push this thing higher, but it could also be a reversal. But right now, these indexes, they've turned around and look, on balance, pretty positive. Broke out yesterday. Obviously, all this new stimulus money coming into the market, et cetera. And so we're sitting at a major resistance level on the Nasdaq at this 324, 325 on the triple Qs. And it looks like this thing is ready to punch higher. And grabbed a foothold along a major support line in the Nasdaq, and now it looks like we're gonna go higher. By the way, I had ankle surgery yesterday, so my wife didn't kick me out of my bedroom, and I've got a bed here in my office because I can't walk. So just thought I'd throw that in. Chris says, got out of Zoom. When do we get in today? When do we get back into Zoom? So I actually took a poke at the highs. To me, Zoom is a very bearish stock, and despite the new, found, move in the indexes, to me, it's still in a bear stock. So I started shorting. I just it wasn't the greatest technical system. I just said we'd been up. We made a low last week of 308. We hit what 335 today, up $27. So I actually just threw in some shorts myself. Between I got in at 333, 34, 332. It's trading. Where are we trading now? Where's Zoom? 330 and a half. So I actually just took a poke at the short side right now. We'll see how we close. Usually I wait for the high and low, and then off the high and low, I can see a reversal. But today we just gapped. We went up, huge yesterday. Today we gapped and went even higher. But then it went, it just caught a long-term downtrend line on the hourly and some other charts. So I just, thought that it wasn't a whole lot of risk just throwing in some shorts and just seeing how, that looked. Now, that's not my favorite trade. It's not a trade that I would recommend. It was kind of just like a gut thing where I think this thing is still going down. I think it's gone up a lot. Let's try it out type of thing. So, but right now I'm making about $4 and we'll see what happens. I'm also short AMC Theaters. Ticker symbol AMC. I think this thing is going to zero. And we're trading down 40 cents right now at 978. And, we'll see how that goes. Juan says, I thought you were retiring for real this morning. So, yeah, I did put out a tongue-in-cheek video, this being April Fool's. So hope you got a kick out of that. Yeah, no. I think retirement is a bollocks idea. I don't intend to ever retire. I've made a lot of money in the markets, and so the natural question people ask me is, so first off, why do you do the pattern trade? If you're making so much, why do you bother doing these videos and spending all this time? And it's a legitimate question. The question is, why do I even bother trading? I've got more money, to support my lifestyle than I'll need. And to me, I get gratification out of both, and I think what's made me a really great and effective trader, I mean, my trading has just gone ballistic. I know if I told people things, I mean, you hear things on the internet, people misrepresent, people talk all the time. I do show my live account. So whenever I'm talking about something, I do show my actual trades. But I've just learned not to really care about the money. And I think that's what's really elevated me to be a much better trader. And it's all about the setup, seeing something, getting in something. Does it work? It works. It made me money. Make the money, pile it in, look for the next setup. It's the same thing when I lose. Didn't work out, scratch the trade. It's always the next setup. So to me, I love looking at setups. I love looking at new ideas in the markets. It's like playing detective, right? You're always searching for that, setup that, and sometimes, these setups just, they resonate in my core. I can actually feel it in my chemistry. Actually, when I was first trading, I was dating this girl, and she was working for a psychologist. And he knew nothing about trading, and we were just talking one night, and he asked me what I did. I said I was a stockbroker, and he goes, you probably know in your gut which are the really good trades that you're in. And, I never forgot that, because it's true. Sometimes I'll just see something. Like 8 weeks ago, I saw this setup in Lyft, and it was like, wow, I didn't even want to trade. I was just out of another surgery, and I didn't want the stress. And I saw this thing, and it just spoke to me. Like there's like no risk in this trade. And so, I started, going along Lyft. I bought the calls. And so I just love trading because, it's challenging. Every day is different. Every day throws us a different, look at things. Then we got to figure it out. And that's what I love. I love the challenge. I love finding new setups. I like finding things that work, so when it works, it kind of gives you some satisfaction that what you're doing actually, has some merit. And sometimes it doesn't. And you go into these dark zones where, am I done as a trader? I can't put on a good trade anymore. So I just love the whole thing, and I love talking to people around the world like you guys. When I started the Pattern Trader, I had no idea what I was getting into, and now I've inherited a second family of people all over the world, and so I don't anticipate ever retiring. I mean, what is retirement? Sit around and play golf all day? Yeah, I can still do that. So Gamal says, what do you think of Roku and PAVM? And I also love the fact that you guys ask me things and bring me new ideas. So I find out new ideas by the charts that you guys ask me to look at. And then, I can find new ideas from there. So to me, a chart speaks to me one way or another right away. I don't know, man. All of these Nasdaq charts, like Roku's got this triple top at 486, then it's got the head and shoulders at around 420. This chart still looks bearish to me. And now you got what I call a key reversal today. And again, the day is not finished, but we made a new high around 340. We're trading at 330 now. So if this closes, closer to the low than the high, then I call that a key reversal in the direction of what I think the trend is. So it's just started to turn. We can't really say definitively the trend is lower, but there is, huge double, triple top head and shoulders price pattern that looks very bearish to me. So that once I understand or think I understand what is the governing price pattern. So we see like a bearish price pattern in Roku, in a long-term thing. So now it's bearish. So now I'm always thinking, okay, I got to be looking for opportunities on the downside. And then I look to get in sync with that downside action by looking at the price action every day. So I look at what I call a key reversal, inside bar. And so when I see a key reversal like today, let's say this is where we finished today. We went to 341, we're at 330, we close on the low of the day. To me, that tells me that my risk has been taken out, because the buyers try to push it over 340 and they failed. So there's a good chance that, if I sell into that the next day, that my risk will be insulated. And sometimes I can just take a free look at the market. Sometimes maybe it won't go for me, but I can just get a position in there, see how it goes, and I'm not going to get hurt too much because the previous day already established that risk. So Roku, I don't know, looks lower, and if there's a key reversal today, I would just short into a higher opening tomorrow. So Gamal also want to look at PAVM. This is a low price stock. Looks interesting. It looks like it's traced out a lot of support, that 360 to 460 area. I don't know what it is, PaveMed. Yeah, it looks, look, it's a penny stock. Anything under $5, can do anything. It can be manipulated. It looks interesting. I don't know. You can take a shot at that. Risk till today's low. I'm glad you guys like the April Fool's tape there. Israel wants to know about P&G, defensive stock. Probably not a bad thing to sit in here, but it hasn't really been performing. So this is like a dividend stock or some. Yeah, I mean, if you want to just hang out and not take a lot of risk and get a dividend, you're probably not going to get hurt in P&G. You're not going to make a whole lot. Hey, Mustafa, how are you? Alex says, what are your thoughts on Nasdaq? That's a really good question, because my thoughts on Nasdaq was that it had kind of set a high, but this weekly action is very. It's putting us back into the trend. It hit this major uptrend line. I was talking to you guys, all these NASDAQ stocks, Tesla, ARK, we're all bouncing off this NASDAQ, trend line. And I thought once we came down now that we would actually take it out, and it just held again. So I don't know for how long it'll hold. We're at this very tricky area on the QQQs. Again, it's going to be very interesting to see how we close. That's why the close is so important to me. This 320 to 325 is just, a monster resistance level. And, the more we kick here, the more Yeah, so this is a monster resistance level. It's going to be very interesting to see what we do here today. So, path of least resistance on these indexes is still higher. I got, I picked a piece, where it came off. And I think if I had to articulate what I do and what my objectives are, and I think this is a theme that I'm going to, harp on quite a bit more so people understand, is that I try and take a piece of the middle out of big trades, which is the opposite of what most people are doing. They're trying to take small scraps out of, large moves, taking 7 pips here, 50 pips here, dollar here. So, when I, see gold moving from 1850 to 1700, I want to take a huge piece out of that. So out of that $150 move, I'd like to take $7,500. Turns out I took like $125. I shorted 1841. I got out at 1687 on some of my bets, and so that's what I'm trying to do: identify where are the monster moves, and then just take a piece of the middle. They say you can't get in the top, you can't get in the bottom. I've been doing a lot of that lately. I've been getting every piece of it. I shorted the Nasdaq when it was at 334, and I covered my put positions when it was at 300. So I got every piece of that move. And so I'm looking for a piece of a monster move like that, where it's 10, 15%. If you can just get a piece of the middle, you make a lot of money. And that's very different than trading a 15-minute chart 10 times a day, trying to, beat, your broker to the punch. So, I'm just always looking for these moves, these setups that, will translate into, bigger opportunities. Ferens wants to know about WRK. So yeah, let me and I'm glad you brought that up, because, WRK, it's hanging in here. So several months ago, actually beginning of the year, I was looking at the stock Lyft, LYFT. It was the second cousin to Uber. Nobody really talked about it. Nobody ever thought it would do anything. And then I was looking at this chart. I thought it was the best risk reward I'd seen in a long time. The whole life of the chart was it went down from 71 to 15, bounced to 40, bounced back to 15, and then made this huge double bottom price pattern. And then it broke the neckline at 40, went up to about 50. And then I tried a whole bunch of times to buy it up there, and I lost. And that was a time where, I couldn't do anything. I was buying IBM at the highs there. I was buying Lyft at the highs there. I was losing a dollar here, losing a dollar there. All of a sudden I was down like 15, 20%. And this is the thing as traders, is that just because we see good ideas like Lyft or the pound New Zealand that I've been in for months, these ideas don't go away. Sometimes the market just goes into a funk. So when Lyft broke out of the neckline from 40 to 50, it just went sideways for, I don't know, lower. But I never took Lyft off my radar just because it went sideways, just because it wasn't working, just because I lost money in that certain thing. And then just because it now went lower. So when it went lower, that's when I looked at it as just the all-time opportunity. And that's what turned my whole account around. So I went from 20% in the hole to now 400% in a combination of just an insane number of great trades. But the point is that Lyft, let me just put it up so I know what I'm talking about, went into this very prolonged funk between, let me put this up. Let's see, I'd say December 7th, it was around $47. And then all the way to January 27th, so 6-week period, it was at like $44. And the high was around 50. So it was between 43 and $50 for 6 weeks. Lyft, LYFT. It went nowhere. Now, if I told you, in December to buy Lyft, by end of January, you're thinking this guy's full of shit, and I'm going to go find another guru and whatnot. But I never took Lyft off my radar. To me, this was just an unbelievable setup. It just was building its time, and the more time it builds, like pound New Zealand, the more that explosion is going to be. So when it curled back from 50 down to 44, that to me wasn't, hey, my analysis is all wrong. Whatever. It was just a gift. There was a double bottom at the 44, little one, an inside bar. I saw all this combination and I knew this is what I look for. When I see these things in the market, I know what I look for. And then I just punch the daylights out of it because I can see an area where there's almost no risk. If the thing doesn't work out, I'll know almost immediately and then bail out. But the point I'm trying to make is that I put WRK on the radar a couple of weeks ago, and it's really been doing nothing. It's just been, going back and forth in this 51 to 53 thing. It looks like nothing, but on the long term, yeah, it's look, it's making what I call a key reversal on a weekly, and I never like to see that. So depending on how it closes tomorrow, I'll take a look at it. But this to me still looks on balance bullish. It just may take a lot more time. But the point is that it'll always be on my radar. And if Lyft comes off, if WRK comes off like Lyft does, and gives me another gift around $48, to me that will be a gift. So I don't take these things off my radar, even though they don't work, even though we may get stopped out. To me, it still has a pattern that, is intact. A double bottom at 21, an inverted head and shoulders. We broke out of this $46 area. It looks like we reached. So I'm going to be looking at it, but, nothing terrible has happened. I bought it at 53. It's at 52. So, you can scratch it, see how it goes here. But, I'm always looking at these things. Nothing has interrupted the integrity of the chart. Hey, Yoni, I haven't seen you in a long time. Great to see you, man. I'm glad you enjoyed the April Fools. How are you doing? Have you been trading? So let me know what you guys are doing. Let me know what you guys are trading. Let me know if you've been successful or you're not successful or what you struggle with. These are, should be much more of, kind of an interactive thing. Yoni, are you still trading? So Israel's trading Forex. Okay, yeah, you shoot me a message, Yoni. I'd like to hear from you. Israel wants to know about euro, pound. While I wait for that, Eric wants to know about Tilray, TLRY. Yeah, I think that dog's had its day. Yeah, that's over. Tilray is over. It's going sideways to lower. So euro pound, is now, turning lower on the daily and the weekly. And yeah, this thing looks like had a huge key reversal last week. It's following lower and should, head for the 83 support level. So euro pound looks like, let me just see what these monthly. Yeah, very formidable resistance on the euro pound. So it looks like it's going to go lower. So Mustafa says, I'm struggling with the Nasdaq. So, Mustafa, when I saw that it wasn't going down the other day at 312, it kept on trying to get through these levels. Every day it would, start at 314, go down to 312, and every time it held, I was saying to a friend of mine that I was trading the Nasdaq with, I said, look, this trading shouldn't be hard. If you're in a good position, you should know it. Trading should be effortless. And, the Nasdaq became effortful. Every time you thought it was going to go make a new low, it just would hold and go back into the thing. And I said the other day to my friend when it was trading at 312 and then it went back and it closed at 360, I said, it's over. This thing's going higher now. So you can't get married to, position. You got to look at what the market's telling you. I made a lot of money on the on the downside. I lost some money trying to fight it on the upside. And now, we put in a huge key reversal bar on the monthly in the Nasdaq for the month. We made a new low for the month and then closed at the high yesterday of the month. So the next, level of energy is going to be higher. And now I'm going to look for it to go back to the highs, and there's a reversal up there. So I'm hoping that we get close to a huge, massive monthly double top. And if we do, then that will really be a signal. But it looks like you could have some interim strength right here. You could have a little bit more strength before this thing fails. So I wouldn't, it's hard to fight it right now. And the Nasdaq's just been a fight for the last 2 weeks. I made easy money from 334 to 300, and then it just got into this banging range. And, the path of least resistance, these trends, when you've had such a prolific uptrend, trends just don't end. They take a long time. It's like pound New Zealand. I was saying it went from 218 all the way to 185. And even though I saw the double bottom at the 185, I said, don't expect this to be a quick, up move. I do think that the market's bottomed. I think pound New Zealand's a buy. But because of the huge downtrend, I didn't think that it was just going to go straight up. And it didn't. It's been 6 weeks of going sideways, and then it exploded higher. But it's the same thing with the Nasdaq. We've been going up for 10 years, and certainly for the last year, straight up. And you don't just turn these monster things around, in one. It takes time. It takes time to build a pattern. You have to build it. So if you have a monster uptrend like you do in the Nasdaq, you kind of have to build away. You have to put some prices so that you can build a way to go lower against that uptrend. And that's just going to take some time. But I do think that, there's going to be an opportunity soon to get short this thing again. Tesla, Eric wants to know about Tesla. So Tesla bounced off that uptrend line. And now we've got this, key reversal again, where, I just don't know if this bounce, was going to last. I had my suspicions. I mean, to me, all these Nasdaq stocks look like they've put in major bear price patterns that will control the price patterns over the price behavior over time. The thing about markets that go lower, the short covering bounces are brutal. It's just they go up very, very quickly. And then you start thinking, well, this used to be a trend. Now it's going up this fast. It must be going back into this uptrend. And it creates a lot of, stress. And so all we can really do is watch and wait. And like I said, let's see how it closes today. A lot of these markets now went to a high. The Nasdaq gapped. But to me, it's all about how does it close relative to the high and low. So we got right back into this, 700 range in Tesla. 720 is the resistance, and it looks like we're failing. So let's see how we close today. Right now we're closer to the low than the high of the daily range. Let's see how we close. And so if this last bounce, proves to be like just a dead cat bounce, then it should come down very quickly. And then once we take out that low of last week, if we take that out, then there's going to be a lot of air under there. So that low was about 592. So, ARC and all these things, there's been a long-term uptrend line. And the Nasdaq, the triple Qs, everything circled back, hit this thing, and has bounced. Now the question is that a bounce that sustains, or is that going to be a dead cat bounce that then just, gets gassed out? And I think by virtue of these long-term patterns, I'm still bearish the Nasdaq. I mean, despite, this huge washout the last couple of days, we've, and that's what I'm saying. The bounces in a bear market are just extraordinary. But like Zoom, the long-term chart for Zoom has not changed for me. This thing is still a dog with fleas. It could bounce back to whatever, 345, 350, but it wouldn't change the fact that this thing's in a long-term downtrend from 588 to 300. We've got all these bearish price patterns. And so I just shorted in today's uptrend. it was, not what I like to do. I like to see a high and low. I like to see where my risk is, because arbitrarily just throwing a short in there, I had no idea of where my risk is. It just gapped up, and it could go anywhere. So it's just a guessing game as to how to establish a risk, and that's not a good way to trade. So I went against, everything that, I tell, our members, wait for the thing to flesh out and whatnot. But I just think that Zoom is such a bearish thing that, you bounce from 302 to 340. I don't know. It just feels like a gift to me. Too short on the IWN, which is the Russell. Now, again, this it's in a resistance zone right here. We're in pretty important areas right here. I could make a case either way. We could make another push to the highs, or we could fail right here. It still seems like it's got, some support. To me, the areas of interest to me are the second tier of these Nasdaq stocks like Peloton and Zoom. Where despite, even if the indexes go up, at some point, I think they're going to lose gas. Peloton, you've got a huge key reversal today. And what I mean by key reversal is, so we went to a high of 118, and we're trading at 113 now, 119. We went to 119, we're trading right on the low at 113. You've got a $6, And so if we made a new high today at 119 and close at 113 or 111 or 110, to me, that's a reversal in the direction of the trend. And so I look at those price action as a way to get in sync with the momentum. So you always want to identify what is going on with any market. So to me, Peloton's got a double top at 171 and a head and shoulders. So that is a very bearish price pattern. That's what I call the governing price pattern. And that price pattern, to my mind, is going to govern or dictate prices days, months, years into the future. So despite the fact that we had a run, in the last couple of weeks, this thing is still going down by virtue of the bear price pattern. Now, instead of guessing where and how to get this thing in, you just look at the price action. And to me, I would look at where this thing closes. If it closes on the low today, then what I usually hope for is a higher opening. To me, that's just a sucker play. So then I would just sell into that and use today's high at 119 as my risk. And so at least you get in with some kind of idea. And then that reversal will put you back in the direction of the trend. So yeah, I would look to tee it up on Peloton. All right, James, I'm glad you're tuning into my videos. Hopefully you're finding them instructive. So Shane, I did talk a lot about gold. I came in short over the weekend, suggested to our members to short it at 17.19 on a stop, and sent out an email 2 days later saying we've got 340 pips. Let's just get out of this thing. It's at a major support area. And so now I'm just going to let it do its thing. And, if this is a double bottom, then we should take out that neckline. So in order to confirm something, you want to confirm what you're looking at. So the neckline is around 1755. So if we start to trade above 1755, I'd say this ship could be turning around. Right now, I still have my doubts. We'll see how we go. But, I've taken out some monster moves on the downside in gold. Covered all of my positions in the low 1680s after making, hundreds of dollars of profit. And now I'm on the sidelines, and I'll just, see where this thing wants to go from here. Eric says, if the QQQ closes below 324, then it suggests a triple top. Yeah, we've been to this 324 now, several times. Typically it's more than a triple top. We've been at this level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This will be the 9th time. So typically when you bang at something that many times, it usually goes through. I don't know that it'll resist this time. So we are at this, area, and it's going to be interesting to see how we close today. But it looks like we could still have one more push higher here. But like I said, independent of the indexes, I think there's a whole class of Nasdaq stocks that have just been shattered, are broken. Zoom, Peloton, these EV companies like Plug. And so I would just look to sell into resistance. Like Plug's got a key reversal today. Plug Power went to 75s, now 35. It was a fad play, a story stock, and that story is now done. So, I think you could short Plug Power, on tonight's close. James says, I'm hoping I can learn enough about you, about your trading, get back out of mostly cash in my account as I've been spooked out of the stock market. So, I understand that. I've got a whole pile of cash that, I've been wondering how to, allocate, where it's just got a home and it's got a safety, net to it. There's an ETF called the IYR. It's a real estate ETF. You get about 3.5% on your money. And I would suspect that maybe you make 10% in that, over the course of time while you're waiting. So you can get 3.5% and perhaps a 10%. I think it should go to pre-pandemic levels at 100. It's trading at 92. So that's something I'm kind of looking at, I'm just looking at it as a place to park my money. But to me, the stock market's not a stock market. It's a market of stocks. So some stocks are going up, and some are going down. And I just try and get in sync with whatever's happening there. Eric wants to know SOXL. Yeah, this is kind of boxing up. It looks like it's got a symmetrical triangle. I think what I don't like about it is that it's getting more volatile. So you can see that the individual daily bars, the ranges from high to low, they're expanding. They're getting wider in the last half a dozen. And to me, when volatility starts expanding, that's when the real money's getting out and the retail money's getting in. So I don't know that I would chase it here. Yeah. So James, IYR, you can look at SPG, Simon Property Group. You can get 4.5% yield there. So I think those are good places just to hang out. I don't think you're going to get hurt, and you can get paid while you're just sitting around. Mustafa wants to know about ARC. Again, this bounced off this huge, uptrend line, and it's an open question now whether these bounces are for real. See, ARC is fading today too. You've got this key reversal going on. So I think this bounce was a dead cat bounce. Everybody was getting hyped up on Joe Biden's stimulus plan. It's just this market is being supported by a gargantuan amount of stimulus, the likes that we've never seen before. This is double the amount of stimulus than we got in 2008. So it's just a lot of money. But eventually, I think that money is going to turn into a problem. But that eventually could be 2 years from now. But this price action in ARC went to 124, 121. We close on the low of the day. To me, this will indicate with a dead cat bounce, time to come down, and whatever last week's low, this week's low was around 110 or whatever. If we come through that again, that is this uptrend line that has been holding everything intact. And every time we come, we bounce off this thing, and the market sees that line, it respects the line, but eventually will come a day where you'll sneak through that line, and then you'll just get you know, quicksand underneath there. And I think that's, probably going to happen sooner rather than later. So where's Zoom? Zoom is now under 330. So yeah, I took a shot at shorting Zoom at 334 today. Just on, the feeling that this is just another dead cat bounce. And like I said, these short covering rallies in especially the Nasdaq are vicious. All right. Anything else? And then I'll let you guys go. Get on with your lives. All right. I don't see any more questions coming through. So thanks again for checking in. I'll see you next week. Have a great trading day. And again, look at how things close relative to the high and low today. If these NASDAQ stocks all close badly, relative to the high and low, I suspect that this move is pretty much washed out. And, a lot of these second tier stocks like Peloton and Zoom are going to, resume their merry way lower. All right, guys, we'll see you next week.